Hey, welcome back to Benbo Banter, the show where I get to banter about a bunch of nerdy goodness, unscripted, unfiltered, and unpredictable. Today, I'm going to be talking about Pokemon Champions, and this probably won't be a long one because I don't have a lot to say about this, but I certainly do have something to say. Pokemon Champions came out, maybe less than a week ago, I think, and I was surprised at how much fun I was having. Yeah, I jumped in to give it a try, and not even to critique it or review it. I just wanted to see how it would go, and I was surprised to see how much fun I was having. Now, if you don't really know what Pokemon Champions is, basically, this is the dedicated competitive platform for all future Pokemon competitive, what's it called? VGC scene, right? Pokemon Company want to use this from now on to control the competitive scene when it comes to the turn based game. And while it's kind of being presented as a convenient way to do so, kind of stopping you from having to play an entire game, beat all the gym leaders, take down some villainous group, and then get to training and then mass spamming eggs and hoping you get good IVs and stuff like that. This quite literally lets you get in, pick your Pokemon, pick its nature, pick its abilities, pick its moves, pick its stats, and then go and see if you can, outsmart a fellow Pokemon master. And yeah, I was surprised at how much fun I was having. The double battles is the one I definitely lent into the most because the matches were a lot quicker. I felt like they were a lot more interesting in the sense that, there's different combinations you could match with. But please understand I am not a competitive player. So I'm not coming at this game as someone who intends to be competitive. So if there are people watching this that are more interested in the competitive scene and think that some of my views are ballistic berserkers nuts, let me know because I'm very interested to see what the competitive players are saying. But for someone like me, casual Carl in the corner, I'm kind of digging it. There's a limited amount of Pokemon to select from at the moment. There's a limited amount of items to select from at the moment. And for me, that's been really great at having a little bit of a less intimidating introduction to what's going on. I've played Pokemon. I used to go up against my mate Jack and get annihilated by his sweaty team that he spent hours grinding, or I was just too dumb to remember the type charts. And I was having a good time. I haven't gone far. I think I barely scraped my way into the great rank of double battles, but I was having fun, which surprised me. I'm running a rain team that's all about making rain. You'll probably see some gameplay above, and I apologize if it is hard to watch because everyone was saying it's hard to watch you make these hideous choices. But I was really enjoying it. I did a little bit of research as well to find what worked, and I was like, wow, this feels just seamless and fun. What I was worried about was this game being infested with microtransactions. And I've heard a lot of people being like, this game has no content and there's tons of microtransactions. I mean, I kind of disagree, but I also agree. So there are, I believe, mainly three forms of monetization at the moment. There is a starter pack, there is a battle pass, and there is a membership. The starter kit gets you more slots to hold Pokemon. It gives you a bunch of tickets for getting Pokemon to keep for free and training them for free. And I bought this. It cost me 10 Australian dollars, which I thought was a pretty good steal for what felt like a pretty substantial package. And that has done me amazingly. I've gotten a full team. I've been able to train them at my leisure, and I haven't had to spend as many of the dedicated points you need. And instead, I get to spend those on making my character as fashionable as possible, which I really love doing. I love giving them the silliest little poses and the funny little throws to throw my Pokemon in. But I was also very glad to see that the currency you need to keep Pokemon and to train them is very easy to get. I was actually so shocked by this. If you win a match, you get 300 VP, which is, I think they're calling it victory points or something. But those are what you use to buy items, to customize. So far, there is not a single thing locked behind a paid thing besides the Battle Pass. Now, the Battle Pass has free content and premium content. As far as I'm aware, there is not enough core gameplay stuff locked behind the premium Battle Pass. It looks more like it's cosmetics and then occasionally a Pokemon and a Megastone, which I could be wrong, but I think is obtainable nonetheless. I could be so wrong about that, so maybe don't quote me on that. But I didn't feel pressured to buy the Battle Pass. The only other thing that is locked behind a paywall is the subscription, which I believe gives you 1,000 slots and a bunch of team spots and some other music and stuff. And for those die-hard players, yeah, you're gonna have to get the subscription. There's no way you don't. Like, that is just the reality. I feel like people who are obsessed with this game and want to make a million teams, you got to pay the $8 a month to have those slots. Which I expected this. It's a free game. There was no way they were going to not try and have some kind of money. And it's rough when it comes down to that money is spent for convenience instead of luxury. A lot of games typically will lock cosmetics away with money because you don't need them to enjoy the game. Whereas realistically with this game, you kind of do need the convenience if you want to really get into it. A simple adjustment I honestly would have liked to have seen was being able to spend money for permanent space. Similar to how, like, when you play Team Fortress 2, you could buy an inventory expander and you permanently had that. I personally would much prefer just spending $5 for like 100 Pokemon slots because I feel like once I teetered to that edge of being like, oh, I really need some more slots, I feel like I've put enough time into the game where putting that $5 in doesn't feel like a big loss for me, and it feels like a way I can give to Pokemon Company, the $1 billion company that definitely needs it. But besides that, I didn't feel like pay to win things were getting shoved in my face. I actually felt like this game was very fair. I only bought the starter pack, and I haven't felt the need to get anything else yet. But like I said, I could understand someone else coming at that angle. The battle pass also seems absolutely useless. You don't need that. In terms of gameplay, it's pretty fun. It's simple. The games are quick. I've really only done doubles, but I feel like I've been actually able to learn and see the similar teams coming in and out and learn strategies because the current pool of Pokemon is not that intense. I really like the idea that every 30 days, maybe new Pokemon are added or new mechanics are added. So you can come back and be like, all right, what's the new meta? What's everyone cooking with? Because that's how you keep a game fresh. And when you have so many years of content and you try and put that all into one competitive scene, you know that's going to be too much to introduce new players to. So, from my perspective, this feels like a really fresh way to rebuild the competitive scene and have a little bit more control over some of the past decisions. I could understand why someone might disagree with that when they come from a game like, I believe Scarlet and Violet had like access to a lot of Pokemon, and you also had the Terra, what was it called? Terra stars, Terra hats, the stupid hats that changed your element, which mechanically was great and visually horrible. I watched Wolfie's video on it and it made me giggle because I thought the hats were dumb as well. And I was like, oh my God, I agree with the YouTuber. I must be based as hell. Anyway, besides that, the way that you can customize your character, get into matches, it's quick, it's seamless. I'm into it. And there's not really a whole lot else I need to talk about it. The animations are great for the like Pokemon moves. They're a little bit clunky, but they always have that Pokemon clunk to it. Let's talk about what I really didn't like or thought that could be improved. Now, as far as I'm aware, as a casual player, there's nothing like horrendous about this game. There's nothing that I'm putting my foot down and saying, no, this game does this one thing which is really bad and is a deal breaker. For me, there's nothing that really suggests that's the case. However, I just feel like there's a lot of small things that could be put into this game. The social side of it, I feel like this game should be riddled with social aspects. Kind of like how in Pocket, you could have your binder and you could have your wish list and you could trade and stuff like that. Because trading's not even a thing in Pokemon Champions. It doesn't really make sense for it to be a thing, but I feel like that was such an integral part about Pokemon. Hey, can I borrow one of your Pokemon? I want to go battle someone. Where it's a matter of like, you just gotta kind of spin for it and hope you get it. Because I guess the appeal with trading was that you'd get specific stats or EVs or etc., and they meant a lot more before, but they mean a whole lot less now. But it just feels like this game is missing a social aspect. I feel like it's a really vague complaint, and I wish I could be a little bit more comprehensible about what I'm saying, but it's mainly just like a vibe. Because it doesn't link up with your Switch friends, you gotta add friends all from the start. It'd be cool to, just, I don't know, have a little bit more emphasis on socialization in the Pokemon world. Yeah, I said no trading. That kind of was a bummer. This game needs hella lot of optimization. It doesn't look great. I don't know why it looks so jagged. I'm assuming there is not a Switch 2 version. However, this as a Switch 1 version still looks really unpolished. Stylistically, it's fine, right? I feel like there's two types of people. There's people who want like the realest of real graphics, and there's people who just want a sense of style and polish. I think like that Breath of the Wild effect where a game can look amazing and run on a toaster box. So we know it's possible, and we think the billion-dollar company should be able to do that. Besides those small things, there's not really anything I dislike about this game, but like, there isn't anything to write home about either. I think this is just a well delivered product. Actually, I can talk about one thing, and this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory. I kind of foresee Pokemon Company putting a little bit more monetization hold on this game. I feel like they're gonna see that not many people are gonna spend as much money on this game, and they're gonna start limiting content with money, some shape or form. I have nothing to prove this. I have nothing that suggests it besides how easily accessible this game has been. I don't know. It just like I feel like Pokemon Company knows that people will pay stupid lot of money for Pokemon products. I mean, you look at Fire Red, Leaf Green ports, those games really shouldn't have costed what they did, but like people are happy to pay them. So like that's fine. I personally didn't pay them, but I'm not going to yell at someone else for buying it because it's what they want to do. So if Pokemon can think of ways to earn more money from this in ways that people are happy to spend, I think I'm just a little bit fearful and not going to call anyone out for like going with those monetization options. Just I don't know, just on the nose. But look, on a positive note, this game is fun. I boot it up to like play a few matches every so often, and I have a good time. So no major complaints from little old me, and that's about it. Thanks for listening to me banter and ramble, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.